Hello and welcome to the program. I am DEJI360. Now, since the insurgency began in the northeast of Nigeria over a decade ago, the region is still reeling from the activities of Boko Haram and, of course, ISWAP insurgents. Recently, Governor Babagana Zulum of Borno State raised an alarm that the Islamic State of West African Province, ISWAP, is poised to take over the country if care is not taken. Now, it's a grim warning from the governor. Now, he spoke at the presidential villa in Abuja earlier in the week, complaining that the growing number of ISWAP fighters in some parts of his state is of great concern to many Nigerians, warning that allowing the terrorist group to grow would definitely spell doom for the country. Consequently, the governor appealed to President Muhammadu Buhari to hire international mercenaries to help the country tackle the menace. Meanwhile, Zulum's alarm came on a day the federal government said it uncovered 96 financiers of Boko Haram and ISWAP, adding that at least 123 companies and 33 bureau de change operators were also linked to the terrorists. However, in the middle of all of this, the Borno State government is seriously contemplating closing camps for internally displaced persons in the state and, of course, try to resettle them now to their various villages. This step has brought about concerns about the plight and safety of thousands of people displaced by the long-running conflict in Borno State and the Northeast region as a whole, because over 10,000 households are still living in IDP camps within Maiduguri, and they're all at risk of being, well, in some cases, forced to resettle. Joining me on the program to discuss this further is Ambassador Ahmed Shehu, who is the chairman of Northeast Civil Society Network. He joins us live from Maiduguri, that's the Borno State capital. Ambassador, thank you very much for joining us on the program. But just before I come to you, I just want us to quickly listen to some of what the Borno State governor said recently when he was at the presidential villa and gave that briefing on the state of affairs as far as the insurgency is concerned in the northeast of the country. Let's take a listen to him.
Growing number of ISWAP in some parts of the state is a matter of great concern to everybody. Where? In the shores of the Lake Chad. Again, in southern Borno State. Luckily enough, I was told there was military deployment yesterday to southern Borno State to fight the insurgents in the Tambukta Triangle. But I think this is an early warning system. We shouldn't allow ISWAP to grow. ISWAP are more sophisticated, they are well funded, they are more educated. And we shall do everything possible to defeat ISWAP. Otherwise, what Boko Haram did will be a child play. This is an early warning system. Nigerian army has to re-strategize and defeat ISWAP. ISWAP will be a threat to the entire nation. In addition to what we are doing, I said it time without numbers that there is a need for government of Nigeria to rethink and look into the possibility of hiring mercenaries. I said it time without numbers. There's nothing wrong. America, Britain, many more countries that are stronger than Nigeria do use to seek support outside. There's nothing wrong.
Well, the Borno State Governor Zulum there speaking on the issue or the growing influence now of ISWAP. I still have Ambassador Shehu with me, who is the chairman of the Northeast Civil Society Network, and of course he joins us from Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. Ambassador Shehu, let's start from the plan to resettle these IDPs. I mean, there have been growing concerns as to whether the situation of things is actually convenient at this time for this resettlement and the closing of these IDP camps. Do you think it's now is the right time to do it?
Well, thank you very much, first of all, for the opportunity. Well, before I respond to your question, I want to start by giving a picture, a clear picture of the scenario and then the situation in the Northeast, just for the benefit of our viewers, to take us back to memory lane so that we now understand the reality on ground. Well, it has been 13 years since this insurgency started, and within that 13 years, a lot of water has been passing under the bridge. Talk of the root causes of the conflict. What is the root causes of the conflict? That is the issue of poverty, the issue of marginalization, the issue of gap in governance, and then we found ourselves in the insurgency. And now 13 years, all actors are on board to ensure that this thing come to an end. But it's just like a circus. Every time you see an effort, then we find ourselves in the same angle that we have started. Well, to this decision taken by the governor, Professor Zulum, I can say from the angle, he was motivated by lack of solution to the issue, because the scenario and then the happening in the camps is a sorry state. It's a thing that nobody would like to be associated with. And you can see a full of camps everywhere, and donors were supporting in various ways to ensure that there is stability in the situation. But it is getting worse by the day. And the aspect of even the situation that is happening is not helping matters, coming to see how people live in the camp, and then the nature of the existence, looking at the tradition, and then the culture of the people there. The camp is the last place that everyone will wanted to be in. And the IDPs also, sometimes I think the situation are not helping matters, because you find yourself in a situation where people have stayed for over 10 years in the camp, and they are so used to the camp situation that nobody is, some of them are not ready to leave the camp because of their the interest involved. Looking at, you find people that
so
are not
it's not as if some of them are not willing to leave the camp because of safety issues. They're just so used, they're just so used to the situation there and conditions there that they just don't want to go back.
Yeah, this is one angle. I want to give you the picture of the happening so that you can deduce why this thing is happening. Then I can now conclude on the position of the civil society on that respect. And you can find a lot of sexual and gender-based violence issue happening in the camp, and you find people keeping their dignity and respect aside because of this insurgency. You will find a responsible person with 20, 30 children who is now, initially is a very rich man in the community, now sitting in the camp, collecting handout and food, while joining to do that with his daughters that almost grown up in the particular camp. And you can find young girls who sometimes trade their body in order for them to continue getting food to eat. And you see, despite all this, there are a lot of funds that are injected in the name of these IDPs. So the only way to block this is to ensure that people's life and dignity were given back to them. And how do you ensure that? To ensure that there is peace and stability, to ensure that people are supported to go back to their constituency, to continue living the way they are. Because definitely, IDP camp is the last place that everyone wanted to be. And the atrocities and then the issues that is happening in the camp is a sorry state if you can hear about it. So I think the governor was motivated by this aspect. And that is why he started the issue of closing the camp, especially the camps that are located in Maiduguri. That is one angle of it. From the civil society, we have started playing our role in this respect. And our role is to ensure that, one, we represent the voice of the affected population, of which we're doing, of which we're having engagement with them before, during, and even after their relocation to their various constituencies. And then, secondly, to also complement the effort of other stakeholders. And thirdly, to also hold people accountable and be transparent in the ways they do their dealings. So as I'm talking to you, we had a lot of discussion with the internet displaced people before their relocation and during the relocation. Even now, we have been engaging them. And a lot of them, definitely when you find yourself in this kind of a situation, there are a lot of concerns. You can't rule out concerns from the affected people. And one of the concerns being raised by this affected population are the issue of access, this issue of security, the issue of livelihood. For instance, 70% of the people in Borno State are farmers. And now these people, they cannot be able to farm, and that is affecting their means of livelihood. So with this return to the farm, it's a good move if they can go back to their farm, to their community, so that they continue farming. But the issue is there a security for them to continue farming? And these are the questions we are trying to the securities. And now, the scenario of all this while is the military, the security agencies, they have the responsibility of allocating the farmlands to people, meaning they determine what perimeters you farm in your local government area. And they have a reason too. Their reasons is when they allow the community to go and farm beyond certain perimeters, they may be attacked by the ISWAP and then the insurgent. And another reason is if they allow them to go further, they may be infiltrated and then they may come back to attack the military. So the issue is really, really complicated. And what we are calling for is coordinated approach. What we are calling for is the return should be gradual and the return shouldn't be secondary. And every stakeholder should be on board. For a record, we have over 200 organizations, both national and international, operating in the Northeast, especially in Borno. And these people, everyone has a role to play toward ensuring there is smooth transition between from this humanitarian aspect into development aspect. Are all these people in the same page? So we are calling for coordinated approach where everybody will have a role to play toward ensuring that there is seamless return of people to their affected community.
Okay. Now there's something I'm trying to reconcile. So sorry to interject you there. There's something I'm trying to reconcile. I mean, on one hand, you have the governor trying to close down the IDP camps and resettle the people back to their villages, which of course is a fantastic idea, just as you've said, because I mean you just can't continue to keep people in IDP camps forever, and the truth is that they need to go back to begin to fend for themselves and to regain their lost dignity. But then, on the other hand, you have the governor also saying that, also talking about the growing influence of ISWAP, that they are getting stronger and all of that. So I'm just trying, how do you reconcile that? You're trying to close down camps on one hand. On the other hand, you're saying ISWAP is growing in influence. I mean, how do you reconcile that?
Well, based on my own record, the closure of camp was started on 20th, since 20th of November, I think 2021, meaning it's almost getting to 5 months that this closure have started. And based on my findings and also the statement credited to the governor, the statement was made yesterday after the president have inaugurated the high-powered committee that will handle the issue of the resettlement.
Yes.
So the closure have started very long time ago, while the statement of the governor is a new issue that just occurred. And I'm sure he got this information as a chief security officer of the state of recent about this recent happening. And I think he was also motivated to make that statement because of that.
But don't you think that could scuttle the whole resettlement plan? That may just put a halt to it probably for some time until maybe the security situation gets better.
Yeah, this is also another option. And this is why I mentioned that the return should be gradual, meaning you'll have opportunity of analyzing, evaluating situation before you move into the next stage. That is one of the recommendations of which we are trying to pass it across.
Now, for some of these IDPs, what have they been telling you? Because I mean, you are the civil society person there on ground, and of course I believe you interact with them every now and then. What have they been telling you about security in their are they showing so much concern about securities in these villages now that they have been resettled to?
Well, actually, just for the information, the camps that were closed already are usually occupied by people that their community are relatively safe. And some of the camps that were closed, those people that think their community are not safe have dissolved into the Maiduguri capital city now. They do not go back to their communities. While those that attempted to go back to their community, their concerns is their means of livelihood. Imagine DEJI living in a camp for over 10 years. For you to go back to your original place of abode is really a source of concern. And so they need enough security for them to continue getting their means of livelihood. The concern here is not only going back to your community, but you need a means of livelihood to survive. And farming is the only means of livelihood. And now the perimeter issue that is determined by the security is also an aspect. So I think these are very serious issues that need to be reconciled. I think we advocated for the governor the last time about this issue, and I was part of the team where we made the security tips about increasing the perimeter of the cycle of the portion being allowed for people to farm, and also to provide security while they do their farms. And currently, the governor has introduced what we call the rangers and Nigerian Security Defense Corps. I learned they were giving a lot of logistic issues about the patrol vehicle and others to continue supporting and protecting the farmers at a shorter term long. So these are some of the peculiarities that the IDPs are expressing. The issue of security for humanitarian actors, the internet displaced people now also, access is one thing, because as an international worker, you must get an access that is safe and secure for you to go and provide these services to the people. And if it is the route is not safe and secure, it's difficult for aid workers that are the responsibility to go and provide these services.
All right. Ambassador Ahmed Shehu, the chairman, Northeast Civil Society Network, thank you very much for joining us on the program and for shedding light on this very issue. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
It's my pleasure.
All right, we'll take a short break now. I'll be right back.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, and use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.